Hey everyone, this is Eric from the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats, and you're watching Goddess TV. My name is Eric Moore. I'm from the Cleveland area, and I'm the Director of Membership with the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats. And I'm so happy to be here today with Goddess TV. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, you were a Notre Dame Falcon. You even made the cover, I noticed. So,
Yeah.
what sports?
The research, yeah.
Yes, I did. What sports did you participate in?
So I ran track at Notre Dame College, South Euclid, Ohio. Went there for 4 years, ran track. So I did a couple covers, and then I was also part of a fellowship program there after I graduated. So had a great time at Notre Dame, and I definitely rep it. I'm on the alumni board now, so yeah, thanks for asking that.
Awesome. So, how did sports contribute to who you are today?
That's a great question. Playing sports gave me that discipline, and then allowed me to be around all sorts of different personalities, which I think is important. And I guess in the work I'm doing now, I encounter different type of personalities all the time. Meet people from different cultures or from different places of the state or the country. So I definitely think that sports played a huge role in who I am today.
Awesome. So, this dates back. This is from an Instagram post, and I just would like you to translate it. It says, I hate when I'm on a flight and I wake up with a water bottle next to me, like, oh, great, now I got to be responsible for this water bottle. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. No, wait.
Kind of, sort of.
That really. How long ago was that?
So, this was May 17th, 2016, that you posted this.
Oh, geez. Is this on the Young Black Dems Instagram page?
This is on your Instagram
on
page.
Instagram.
Like, you want to scroll back through
It's-
Oh, that's a Kanye West.
Yes.
Was that like a Kanye West picture?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Ding,
Wow,
ding, ding. You got it.
wow.
So,
Oh my gosh.
what do you feel you are responsible for with the position that you hold?
Wow. So, you know what? Wow, that's a great question. So, So like obviously like being in this like and doing like any type of political work, and then dealing with like Kanye West or whatever. So there's like some controversy there or something. But I think Kanye West was a great mind, a great thinker, and in that post, he was saying that sometimes people place responsibilities on you. So something small like a water bottle, might be placed on you. You wake up and now, okay, you have this water bottle, and like now, do I leave this here? Do I take it with me? What if I didn't want it? And no one's really asking you that. So being the Young Black Democrats, you have certain responsibilities. So if someone or kind of work I've done, working for different campaigns, people expect certain things from me because you are in the public. You do work for people. So, I sometimes might be asked questions where I might have to speak for young black people. So that's kind of a responsibility that some people on our team have sometimes, wherever you go, when you're in different spaces, and that's something that you just have to know how to handle.
Exactly. You mentioned that you've worked for other campaigns as well. What are some of the campaigns you have worked on?
Yeah, so I worked on a city council campaign in Ward 7 a few years ago, and more recently I worked on a gubernatorial campaign in Ohio. Yeah.
Great. How did you like that? What was your favorite part about it?
It was great. So that's my favorite part about the last campaign I worked on was getting to spend time with a candidate. I was his executive assistant, so I was traveling with him daily and getting to go to all different parts of the state and see how similar a lot of us are. And then we're still different at the same time. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, how important is civic engagement to you, and why?
It's very important. Things like voting or letting people know, when voting is happening, I think is very important. But I don't think, especially like in the black community, voting is low, especially for Black millennials, voting is low. But I don't think voting is necessarily something you should get a gold star for. It's just kind of, participating in this democracy. And, your voice matters through voting. So, yeah, it's very important.
The digital divide used to be a question of having or not having access. With the changes of technology, would you say that question has changed or altered in a way?
To properly answer the question, I think there's obviously a huge digital divide in a lot of urban communities. So that's going to continue until resources are allocated to kind of help that issue, especially in schools. I think you see that clearly.
Yeah, a whole lot. So do you think it's a matter of skills or resources, how you mentioned?
Like to fix the digital divide?
Yeah, that's causing it. Do you think it's a matter of do you think it's a matter of skills or the lack of resources?
Let's see. Lack of I don't know. Lack of resources, definitely.
Okay.
Because you could just buy a bunch of computers for places, but how does a city or a school get that money is
Okay.
is another question. So I guess it could play into skills, but there's a lot involved in that.
Right. And I see a lot of this digital divide happen in urban communities, like you said. So who do you feel is responsible for making sure that those communities receive these skills and resources that are needed for them to thrive?
That is
Who's
a great
responsible
question.
for that?
That is a great question, and I guess some of these questions, especially this one, I'd be answering for myself and not, as the North Italian Black Democrats.
And that's who I want you to answer as. I know you have so many titles there, but
because I think that's a great question, and I think there's the digital divide is huge, but I think that you could blame a lot of people for a lot of things, but I think I think there are a lot of great people doing a lot of work to help bridge that digital divide, and there's a lot of people in the African American community that are doing that too. So I think the focus should be seeing what we can do instead of looking to someone to blame. So that's what I would say.
So inputting yourself and taking that on responsibility. Okay, great answer. What are you doing for others? That was the Instagram post that you posted, and I noticed that it was for a service event that was going on. But what are you doing for others?
So great question. So me personally, I do service and do service through church as well. But North Italian Black Dems do a lot of different service activities, community service, and then civic engagement. So getting the word out about elections and letting people know how important participating in this democracy is, especially when so many people have lost their lives and risked their lives for us to vote. So that's a major thing to us, is making sure that raising awareness. Yep.
And awareness is always great.
Yeah.
You mentioned it a lot already, but it was on my question list. So tell us about the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats and what they do.
No problem. So the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats are a chapter of the Ohio Young Black Democrats, and we exist to mentor, empower, and recruit this generation of African American leaders. And we do that by doing outreach and engagement activities, engaging the greater Cleveland community in Northeast Ohio. But we do have many chapters across the state. So anyone watching, if you're in we pretty much have.
The training to get out the vote event is coming up. I noticed that. Would you like to tell the viewers about that?
Yeah. So we do a lot of different training activities with other groups, other Democratic groups. And this is very important to us because getting that knowledge out there on how to run for office or how to engage your community is very important, and we try to do that as much as we can.
How important is the November 6th election? And even you can elaborate for people who don't know about the November 6th election.
So this upcoming election, November 6th, we're voting for your gubernatorial candidates. So who do you want to be the next governor? Judges, statewide candidates. We have a great guy running for treasurer, Rob Richardson, and state secretary, all that stuff. So definitely, it's a huge election.
Who are you voting for?
It's a huge election. We have the governor's race. Cordray going up against Mike DeWine, and then you have your judges too. But then depending on what area you live in, you have different folks. But statewide candidates are huge. So definitely being a part of the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats, I would say to definitely vote down that ticket and vote for Democrats. But in that space, I can say definitely vote for the Democrats. But a lot of people have I actually spoke to someone the other day that said that she's not registered to vote and doesn't vote or voted once, and because she doesn't necessarily know who to vote for or who's good, because all Democrats aren't probably aren't thinking the way that we are, or like they don't want the same things that we do. But I think what they're not voting for. So some people say, well, I don't know, the Democrats might be corrupt, or Republicans might be corrupt, or something like that. But a lot of them are great guys. We're in speaking more locally, which the local elections and the statewide elections are super important, and sometimes they get looked over. It's not like as big as the presidential election, but we're in Ward 5 of Cleveland. Phyllis Cleveland is the councilwoman here. She's a great person. You have your state reps and state senators here who are great people who I've met and can vouch for. But not voting and letting the people who I talk to, who I've met, who don't vote or don't trust the political system, tend to be people who would probably vote Democrat. So when they don't vote, and the people who vote Republican vote, because they kind of they understand how this process is something that you have to participate in by voting. So when you let those people vote and win, and Republicans get into office, all Republicans aren't bad. I've met some great Republicans that are in office. Even where I live, great guy, but he votes with these people. Like, even though he might be more liberal, and a Republican might be kind of liberal in some areas, when they get together, they're going to vote for certain things that might, they might not be worried about trying to bridge the digital divide in an urban community,
Right.
because it's not, where is that, who
Who
benefits from that, even though they might want to, and I'm sure they would, be down to help if someone talked to them, but, I know that they're going to vote this way, like, especially when you're talking about school systems, when you talk about poverty, when you talk about food deserts, when you talk about infant mortality, all those sorts of things, that these people really aren't concerned with that, and if they are, they don't speak on it. So you definitely, even if you don't know who these people are, which you can Google your election and find out everyone who's running, or even like come to one of our events, and you might even meet people who are running. But definitely exercise your right to vote. There's a reason why people died for our right to vote, because they see how important it is.
Exactly, and I'm in agreement with what you said. And that leads to the next question of, I've heard a lot of people of color specifically say that their vote don't count or matter. Where do you feel that mindset was developed?
That's a good question. Where did people start feeling like their vote didn't matter?
Mm-hmm.
So, good question. I don't necessarily know when black people went from marching to get the right to vote to like saying voting doesn't matter. I actually spoke to a guy yesterday. He's 103, right? 103 years old. I think the first person he voted for was FDR, and at this time, black people, I don't think black people could vote, but he was in the army, so he was saying, and he was from the South, he was from Georgia, but when he was in the army, he could vote. And he was just telling me about how that whole process worked, and he was excited to vote, and I wasn't even talking to him about politics at all. Almost for something completely different. We're just having a conversation.
It always
and
finds a way to tie itself in.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. He got married because he's 103, right? And talking and cool guy, and got married in 1938 and all this stuff, and living that whole life, and he couldn't vote but he was in the army. He's like, oh yeah, I was working for Uncle Sam, so I could vote. So I think, and I'll say this, I think some people confuse black power with black political power. Mm-hmm. So, we have a lot of, like, here where we live, we have a lot of black elected officials. Black city councils, state, all the way to Congress. We have African Americans. But the job doesn't, or the work doesn't stop with that. So like I said, the black power, black political power is different. So you have these elected officials, but you still need people. Like we're kind of talking about, like who's the to blame for the digital divide here. We still have to do a lot of work on this end, to work with these people, because at the end of the day, if I had $1 billion, I would just buy everyone a ton of computers,
Like, here's your resource. This is your resource right here.
Right, but I don't have that, and so you could look at people who have that, or you could say, am I working hard enough? What am I doing? Or how can I get money together to do that? Okay. So I think when African Americans went from seeing no black people in office to seeing a ton of black people in office, but their issues in front of them still going on, especially like we're in Cleveland, so potholes. So like I worked on a few campaigns and everyone's talking about potholes. So if we're campaigning and I'm saying, yeah, we're gonna get money together to fix the streets, and then I don't fix the streets, and then I win 2-3 terms and still don't fix the streets, then you might be like, well, I'm not voting because all they do is just lie and all that. So that's a huge issue. Maybe some people might say there's some conspiracy theories making like black people not vote. But there's a lot of barriers that are placed. Transportation is a huge barrier for African Americans. Polling locations tend to dwindle in size in certain like urban areas, so it's hard to get to the polls sometimes. Or not knowing when the election is happening, I think is another issue, which is kind of one of the things, one of the reasons why we exist is to raise awareness for that, for things like that. But that's all I can say. I don't really can't pinpoint a date, but
right.
Definitely had to happen
after
65 somewhere, because we went from marching to not voting. So.
Sure. Jumping right into the next question, how do you feel we can change that view that the population has about not voting? Or you even mentioned that there was some confusion in there between black power and black political power. What can we do, people who realize that there is confusion or there is a divide in there? What steps can we take to make it clear to those who don't understand or don't know?
It's a great question. Amazing questions, by the way. You're killing it.
Thank you very much.
So
So I think one thing is kind of taking away like the gold star thing about like, I voted. We're not necessarily changing the world with a vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sad as it sounds, like you shouldn't be. It's different. Like voting is something that you should just do. It should,
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Again, the black power versus black political power, because a lot of people don't really see tangible changes after voting for years, so that can make someone not want to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's an issue, which is why I think, politicians, have to be more transparent and let people know what they can actually do. But then, if we're running against each other and you're saying like all this stuff that sounds great, but I know you can't do it and I'm not going to say it,
Right.
then people will vote for you,
Mm-hmm.
even though they don't know. So I think, definitely getting the word out about that, and not, promising the world to people, because I think, that could hurt like overall voting, in the future after people see that, the world didn't come to them, with their vote. And then having like what we do with the North Italian Black Demo is we do a lot of events and we invite elected officials so that people can see them and see how real these people are,
Right.
and then you can have a connection with them, and they're normal people just like us. So kind of humanizing them in a way, I think helps, and so people know that okay, this person like isn't just some corrupt person who lives at the top of the mountain and doesn't talk to people like us.
Right.
Or and then encouraging politicians and to come out not just when it's election time.
Mm-hmm.
You
Year round, we
know,
want to see your faces
yeah.
and know you exist, not just when you want our votes. So,
exactly, yeah. Your
gotcha.
constituents want to see you and want to get to know you, and that I really think that's a start.
Mm-hmm.
But I think especially when we're talking about the African American community, just when there is high poverty, it's just people, how is voting gonna put food on my table?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something. Well, it does in a way, but it's something that's kind of a little far off. So, I think just a change in thinking has to happen, and I think it starts with schools really too.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with education, but that's a lot, and it's a lot for me to do. But that's why we need more people to come on board and help out.
Collectively, yes,
Yeah.
I agree. So you seem like an awesome person, like seriously.
You really do.
So, who or what gets credit for helping you build this foundation and keeping you on a straight path with everything that you're doing?
Yeah. So, and I
Because there's
think
so much temptation, like in the world itself.
that's true. Just staying grounded. So in my family, a strong family. I was very privileged to grow up living in a home with my mother and father. My family, they pay attention to politics and things like that. I grew up watching the news with my parents at dinner. So that kind of started me off, and I grew up thinking that voting was just something that you should do, not like I'm going to change the world today with this vote. It was just something I thought I should do. But and I think my household definitely shaped the way I think. Like I grew up, my parents have a painting of a black Moses like in my house, so I just grew up thinking a little differently. And then my grandparents kept me grounded. My grandparents, like great uncles, things like that, are all from Selma, Montgomery area. So I grew up hearing stories about the civil rights movement. Seeing people. I was talking to my grandmother about this, but the bus boycott, right? So that was something collective that everyone participated in. Everyone was like, we're not riding buses. No one rode buses, but then everyone like people like my great uncles, were like driving people around. Like everyone was driving people around, right? to make this happen. You know, today I don't even know if that, you know, something like that could even happen like in a ward of a city. You know, for people to be that close with each other, to trust each other. You know, we don't like even when you messaged me about the thing, I was like, what is this? You know,
You
like,
thought I was a scam, you guys.
yeah, like, I thought it was a scam. Like I looked at it and I don't know when I responded, but I like looked at it and I was like, what is this? Like, you know, I thought it was some type of scam or like God knows what, like, you know, stuff like that. You know, we don't trust each other.
And that's true.
You know, we don't trust each other, but like we do scam each other and set each other up.
And that's true. So I was very understanding of even you having that mindset, because it's like, what, this day and age, nobody my age is coming to try to do these type of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely was understanding of it. And I, again, thank you for actually coming out and doing the interview with us.
Yeah.
And we have a few more questions and we're just going to wrap it up. But I would like to know, what are some challenges that you face being in...
Challenges every day, but you know, I live by, you know, this, like, I never lose, I either win or learn, right? So, you know, sometimes I've had even just events, so like we're, you know, planning events, it's, you know, senior year in college, right? So started planning this when I started like doing like events and kind of like figuring out exactly how to organize people, and you know, so sometimes we'd have like a lot of people at events, sometimes we wouldn't. And you know, there was one day where I went to get pizza, pick up pizza like for an event. Didn't have a car at the time, so I had to walk. I walked to the pizza shop, like picked up like a few pizzas, like plates and things like that. Right. Started raining a little bit, and I'm walking, you know, walking back to the school with these pizzas. I look like SpongeBob, you know, with the pizzas. I feel like some of us might get it. But you know, I'm walking, you know, to the event, and then no one came. Like maybe one or two people came. And that's like something that like plays, because I think I might have felt like I felt defeated, obviously, like, you know, and I'm like, man, like why am I doing this, you know? But then I think there's like some reason why people didn't come, and you know, instead of letting it like stop me, I had to like figure out, okay, how I just gotta learn from it, you know. And it wasn't a loss, because you know my roommates and I got pizza, like free pizza, so you know that was cool. But just trying to figure out what people want to do, what people want to see. So especially with the African American organization, and then being like tied to the Democrats, so people do kind of judge us in a way. I've had people say, like, this organization just gets old white people elected, or like you're just like black tokens for white politicians, and you just have to think like, okay, there are some things that we might have done that could make it look that way, that we're, you know, like black tokens for old white politicians. But that's not the case. Don't be worried. Definitely not doing anything like that. But just trying to figure out how to get people out. Like, what do people want to see? How can we engage people like yourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to see? How can I get you all to ask more of your elected officials, you know, because you know it's possible, but then also realizing that everyone is not going to be into the politics. Like everyone is not going to want to. Everyone's not going to want to talk to an elected official, right? Like it's, you know, not that fun, but people might want to go to a bar for happy hour or something like that, just drink, hang out, chill. And so we started doing things like that, you know, having like social mixers we have some at Captivate. They're really fun. So, and I have some people like want to join after like events like that, and they say, oh, do I have to be into politics? I don't really know much about it. No, like you don't. But we just want to raise awareness, because this is something, at least looking like from statistics, like seems like white people are more engaged, even though everyone isn't into politics. And I don't believe that there's more white people that want to be in office than black people. I think it's just live like different circumstances, and you know, we have to make sure that our folks, I have to make sure that my peers know when the election is happening. I have to make sure that my peers know who's up for election, know some history about the people, and the opportunity is there. You know, if you want to set something up, if you want to meet them, if you want to, you know, come out to an event, or just hang out with us, because it's important, and we need more safe spaces for young African Americans.
Understood. You mentioned doing activities that involve that people actually want to come to, basically what it is that we want. And you also mentioned the social mixer. I know that's something that you host often. Do you have another one coming up? Or
Yeah, so we we host a mixer at Captivate Bar and Grill on the third Thursday of the month. And it's a real fun time. We started doing them in June, I believe, and it's a great time. And the thing is too, like, we do have quite a few members in our chapter. I think we have like over 100 members, and you know, but it's just, you know, getting people active, because there's, you know, a ton of people out here, but you know, this is my first time meeting you. You know, in the past, or like the few weeks we've been talking, I'm like, you know, we just have to do more engagement. It never really stops. You know, the work never stops. There's always something going on, and you know, we have a long way to go.
so coming out to Captivate, can we expect to actually interact, or would it be like I'm sitting in a crowd being spoken to?
Oh no!
Like,
So yeah, we're just
a dialogue.
Yeah. So we're just interacting, hanging out, you know, talking to folks. You know, maybe planning something, whatever's going on. Yeah, we're just hanging out. It's just a mixer, just like a happy hour thing. We do have like drink specials and our own Young Black Dems drink, so it's always a fun time there. And then we'll be doing some more events. So we have a candidates forum, I believe, in East Cleveland on September 20th. I believe it's in the East Cleveland Library. So a lot going on, busy September. But again, like you know, the election's coming up soon, and we definitely want to get the word out. And we do spend a lot of time in Cleveland, and we want to do more in the outer ring suburbs too. We want to, you know, get out to Garfield, Maple, Bedford, you know, all those suburbs. We're in Cleveland a lot. I'm, you know, in this area a lot. You know, a lot of the Cleveland wards, but you know, sometimes we're focused a lot on Cleveland and forgetting about the other areas too. Yeah.
Okay, so for someone looking to be in the space that you are in, or endure anything that you have endured this far, what piece of advice could you give them?
Great question. So let me answer that question in this way. So I'm not from Cleveland. I didn't start really getting involved in this type of work until like my senior year of college, which was in 2017. It's 2018 now. So in a year, or a little more than a year, yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just from going to events, I didn't get involved with the Young Black Dems until like later like at the end of the summer of 2017. So just from going to, and then from working with the Young Black Dems, I ended up meeting people and getting a job through that, you know, in politics, and working in politics and campaigning and meeting a ton of people. So I would say to not be shy. So especially if you are a young African American male, man or woman, or whatever you are, you know, whatever you identify as, just get out there. Just go to an event and say hello to someone. 'Cause I, you know, was very shy, you know, especially when I was younger. I never expected to be thought of myself as someone who could speak in public or meet people or even do things like this. But in a year, you know, you can do a lot, because there is a lot of opportunity here, especially in Cleveland. So I would say to just get out there, just do it, just whatever ideas you have, you can make it happen. But you know, get advice. You know, you're never gonna know everything. Get advice, meet people, see how someone, meet people who can help you, and just be around people who are smarter than you. A lot of people are smarter than me. Most people I meet are way smarter than me. But seeking that advice and because you can, ideas that you have, like you can make it happen. You'd be surprised with what you can do. Yeah.
Just taking that first step, huh?
Yeah.
If your last words were your next words, what would they be?
Hold on, you gotta repeat that. I'm sorry.
If your
See,
last...
I'm really not that smart. I look like I am, but people don't know because I surround myself with people smarter than me.
I got you. And then the suit on top of it makes it like I'm all brains. But no, seriously. If your last words were your next words, what would they be? Last chance you get to say anything out your mouth. What are you saying? I love this question.
Let's see. We'll go with this. Forward, ever, backwards, never.
Is there anything I would like you to actually tell the viewers where they can reach you at, how they can contact you if they need to collaborate or anything else like that, and any events that you have coming up or want people to come and check you out at? And any shout outs. Shout outs are welcome.
Well, let me make sure because I have so much going on. So let's see.
It's a good thing when you have to check the calendar.
Let's see. All right. All right. So, if you want to get in contact with me, or anyone from our team, or see what we're doing, you're on Facebook. Just look up Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats on Facebook. On Instagram, NEO_YBD. Again, that's NEO_YBD. And, follow, send a message, DMs are open. And you can also follow me on Instagram and message me if you have any questions at Eric Can't Jump on Instagram. That's 2 C's. Eric Can't Jump, and message me, ask any questions, or if you want to do anything, any idea that you have, I'll do my best to try to make it happen because that's just what it's about. You have to try different things, and get out there and again, black political power and black power is 2 different things. So we have to, if we're on the field, out in the field, if we're on the ground working, we have to get our minds together and come up with something. Yeah. I'd like to shout out to shout out to God, actually. That'll be the first shout out because it's,
He made all
I don't
this
even know what to say.
possible.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to God. Shout out to everyone who is working to improve the lives of others or yourself. I think we have to focus on improving our lives actually before we start telling other people what to do. And our president, Gabrielle Jackson, president of the Northeast Ohio Young Black Democrats, a great woman, led by a black woman. Black women make the world go round. So, and that's about it. And my parents, and my mom. Yeah.